All right. Hello. Welcome to today's live. Um, Say hi in the chat if you're joining me live. And if you're watching the replay, just put hashtag replay in the comments. So, have you ever done things to try to get healthy that later you realize were a mistake? And then you wonder why you thought that was a good idea? Let me know. Well, I definitely have, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Three of my biggest mistakes that I did when on my health journey, um, trying to get healthy, trying to, you know, lose weight and balance blood sugar and all that, that kind of backfired on me. I thought I was doing the right thing by trying these things, and then they kind of backfired on me. But the good thing is, we learn from our mistakes. So I don't regret these things. It's just these are things that now, I realize were not the best for me, um and I want to share them with you because I think, when we can learn from others, that helps us on our journeys, right? It helps us maybe not go down the same path as someone else. So I think it can be helpful to share, um, w- you know, my mistakes so that you guys can hopefully get something out of them, learn from them, and not make the same mistakes. All right. So let me just get right into it. So when I first started trying to lose weight, the first thing I did was I tried a diet, and that's probably what most of us do. Let me know in the comments what was the first thing that you did when you started wanting to get healthier or lose weight and stuff like that. Hold on just a second. Let me adjust my computer a little bit. Okay, there we go. So, the first diet I ever tried was the Slim Fast diet. So, how many of you guys remember that? And that was where you drink a shake for breakfast, you drink a shake for lunch, and then you have a dinner, right? You eat dinner. And um, and I did have some weight loss with this, but there were two issues I had with it. The first was that I was starving. Like, I was starving all the time trying to just drink the shakes throughout the day, and then just eat dinner. So I was hungry, and the meal replacement shakes just weren't enough for me to stay full. So I would go all day feeling hungry. And then I'd get to dinner and I wanted to eat up everything. So it kind of backfired on me. Like, I was so hungry from starving all day that when I got home, I would try to eat a healthy dinner, but then I wanted to snack and I wanted to just keep eating because I was so hungry by the time I got home. So that was the first issue. And then the second issue was drinking shakes for most of my meals was something I knew that I couldn't keep up. Like, that was not really, I knew it wasn't a long term solution because, first of all, they weren't that good. And second of all, I don't want to spend my whole life just drinking shakes. I want to be able to eat like food. And so um, that that was the second issue. And I didn't like drinking the shakes like that. At first, it was okay, and then you just kind of get tired of them. So what do you think ended up happening? Let me know what you think. Um, well, after about 3 months, I couldn't stand drinking those shakes anymore, and I felt super deprived. So I quit. I quit the diet altogether. Um, and I tried several diets after that, trying to find something I could stick to, but I never found one that I could do without cheating on it or just quitting after a few months. So I could do diets for a few months and then I couldn't do them anymore. I would just get burnt out. I would feel deprived. Something would happen to where, so I knew, diets just were not, they were not the long term solution. I was looking for something I could do long term, that would give me not just temporary results, but permanent results, right? Like, something I could keep up with. So let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Um, so after years of going on and off of diets, I finally realized that diets just weren't the answer. They just were not going to be the answer that I was looking for. And they weren't, they just weren't for me. So what finally ended up working for me was learning how to effectively overcome unhealthy habits, and how to create healthier habits. So working on like one habit at a time, like I talk about all the time. And on my YouTube video this week, I talked about not just cutting out bad habits, but replacing those bad habits with a better, healthier habit, instead of just cutting it out cold turkey, replacing it with a better habit. And I know I talk about that all the time. And that's really something that has worked for me, um, more than diets, because um, I can work on one habit at a time and it's not overwhelming, you know, and, uh, and it's just more realistic, more doable, it's not as stressful. And so that's what really ended up working for me was learning tools and strategies to overcome unhealthy habits and creating healthier habits, in the place of the unhealthy habits. And the way I learned this, I give credit to Atomic Habits. Have you guys ever read that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear? He's really, really where I learned this from. And so I have to give credit to him. I can't take the credit because this is how I really ended up learning how to overcome my habits and how to create healthier habits. So if you've never read that book, I would recommend that. And so when I learned how to do this, once I overcame unhealthy habits and started working on that and started creating healthier habits, that's when I lost weight. I balanced my blood sugar, and I've been able to stick with that for years now. It's been 6 years. And so the lesson I learned and what I want to share with you is don't start unrealistic habits that you aren't willing to keep up with. Don't start habits like an unrealistic diet or an unrealistic exercise program, or um, if you're taking like supplements that you think are going to help you lose weight or raise your metabolism. Well, if it's unrealistic for you to keep paying for those, if it's time consuming, if it's too expensive, then how long are you going to keep up with those things, right? How long is that really going to be your long-term solution to whatever your health goal is? Just I want you to think about that when you're deciding, you know, what um what you're going to start doing for your health goals, for whatever your goal is. So when you are thinking of trying a new diet, or an exercise plan or some kind of healthy habit, think about the time and the money and the determination it's going to take to keep up with that new habit, right? Um, and ask yourself, if this works, am I willing to stick with it? That's what you've got to ask yourself. And sometimes you are, you know, sometimes you are willing to stick with it, and that's great. But I just don't want you to do things that are unrealistic for the time of life that you're in, um, if you have small children and you join a gym, is that realistic? Are you going to actually be able to get to that gym to make it worth your money? If you are always short on money, is it going to be worth the money to buy these expensive plans or these expensive supplements or whatever it is? Is that going to be realistic for you? You've got to think about these things before you start them. And if you determine that they are, great. But if you determine that they aren't, you know, you can do what I did and just try to replace your unhealthy habits with healthier habits, and that doesn't cost anything. So anyway, that was the first thing, that was my first mistake, um, was trying unrealistic diets and things like that weren't going to work for me long term. Okay, and another mistake I made on my health journey was going too long without my favorite foods. How many of you guys go on diets, go on plans, and you don't get to enjoy your favorite foods, and then you feel deprived, and then you end up, you know, quitting or yo-yo dieting, and let me know. So I did this forever, and when I was, uh, it led me to yo-yo dieting, is what it did, because I would try to, like, go so long without um, eating my favorite foods, and then I would feel deprived, and then I would quit the diet. So I was a yo-yo dieter, and I didn't know it at the time, but now I realize that's what I was doing. I was yo-yo dieting. Um, so yeah, I would go months without enjoying ice cream, pizza, cookies, and then it would just, I'd finally be like, oh, I can't do this anymore, and I would just quit. And I started to feel deprived, but at the same time, I was stressed at the thought of what would happen if I ate foods like this. So that's what happened to me, when I would go on a diet, and I'd be like, I'm so deprived. I want to eat. I want to eat. I just want to eat a couple pieces of pizza, or I want to eat some ice cream or something, and then I'll go back, whatever. But it would stress me out at the time. It would stress me out, like, at the thought of, oh my gosh, like, if I do this, is it going to send me down a spiral of, you know, like, eating that all the time, and I can't stop. And so this just wasn't good for me mentally. And I know now I was giving food too much power. That's what I was doing. I had to realize that it was much better for me to take a balanced approach. Me personally, now, not everyone is like that. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone. And I'll tell you, when I first started doing diets and things, I thought, if I cheat one time on my diet, then I cannot be on that diet anymore, or I can't be flexible. And what I know now is, it's not the end of the world if you go out and eat pizza with your family, or you enjoy a dessert on occasion. You can still be on your diet. You can still it's not all or nothing is what I'm trying to get at. It's not all or nothing. You can go back and forth. You can, because um, I'd rather you occasionally have your favorite foods than go, being on a diet, being deprived, and then getting off the diet and just eating all that stuff all the time and not eating healthy for several months. That's not healthy. That's called a yo-yo dieter. And so I had to realize that it was better for me mentally and with my health, my physical health, to have a more balanced approach, right? Um, so now I practice the 80-20 rule. And I know you guys have heard me talk about this rule millions of times, but that's what I do. I do the 80-20 rule. And that's just 80% of my week is whole foods, whole unprocessed foods. And then I allow myself to have 20% of my week. Um, I have the more processed foods, more treats and things like that. So it's a good balance for me. Some people do like 90-10, some people do like 85-15, but 80-20 is really good for me. I feel good. I've reversed my diabetes with it. I've lost weight. I've maintained everything because it's realistic for me. I don't know that I could maintain 90-10. I just don't. I probably could for a little bit, but I don't know if that would be a long-term thing for me, right? Um, I can do that for a short amount of time, but 80-20 is really a good balance for me. So, I've been able to stick with it because it's more realistic, right? And I don't have to cut out my favorite foods. And I don't feel guilty when I eat my favorite foods. And that's the best part. Like we used to when I would, um, be on diets, I would feel guilty every time. Like I would have something off plan, right? I would have that guilt and I was just giving food too much power. I was letting it stress me out too much. And so now when I know I have a plan. It doesn't stress me out. I know, 80-20 is great for me. I totally enjoy, treats and eating out and things like that. And I don't feel guilty for it when I do it. I don't let it bother me because I know what my plan is. So, um, I don't want to live without my favorite foods. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to, like, I don't want to. That doesn't sound fun to me. It sounds very restrictive. Like, I want to be able to eat some of my favorite foods occasionally. So, but I also want to be healthy at the same time. I want to prevent disease. I want to, be healthy. I don't want to have to take medication. And so in order to do that, I have to have a plan for that. I can't just wing that. Um, I have to set limits for myself, and so the 80-20 is really what I've found that really is the best plan for me. Um, so I want you to try the 80-20 if you've never tried it. You can try it and see if it works better for you than going on and off of diets. Like, it can't hurt to try, right? So learn from me and don't be a yo-yo dieter and just try a more balanced approach and see if that works better for you. Now, you may not be the kind of person that can do that. We know that a lot of times when you have an addiction to something, you can't just have a balanced approach, right? I think it really depends on the person, you know? And so, if you're in that stage where you're like really addicted to sugar or whatever it is, then this may not work for you right now. it may take a long time to get there. But you can try it and see if it works for you. See if every, let's say every Wednesday and every Saturday you're going to have a dessert. Is that enough for you? Is that enough for you to stay on course the rest of the week? Just see if that helps and see if that works for you. Okay. And the last mistake I want to share with you today is I ate foods I didn't like just because I knew they were good for me. Have y'all ever done that? Have y'all ever like forced yourself to eat these foods that you don't like? You don't like the taste. You really like you don't look forward to eating, but you eat it because it's good for you, right? And I did this mistake a lot. So let me know in the chat if you've ever done this as well. So do y'all remember the kale craze? Um, when that was a big thing, when kale was like a big thing, I tried so hard to like kale. I really did, because I was a nutritionist and I was like, I can't be a nutritionist and not like kale and not, you know, rave about it and promote it and stuff like that. I need to like it. And I tried it so many different ways, but I still hated it. Like it just is not a food that I like. I don't know. Um, I tried it so many different ways and I just never liked it. And I also tried eating like apples, like I used to hear an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And I would try to eat an apple every day because of that saying. And I would try to eat grapes and chicken breast and things like that because I knew they were healthy for me. I knew those were like whole foods, they were healthy foods. But every time I ate those foods, I didn't feel satisfied. And I always wanted something else to eat. Like if I made chicken breast for dinner, I just despise. I was like, oh, I don't even want to eat dinner. I don't like chicken breast. And then I would want to eat more. So that wasn't doing anything for me if I'm trying to eat these healthy foods that I like. And then I'm not satisfied. So I'm going in the cabinets and searching for other food to eat. Well, that defeats the purpose, right? Um, so uh So after years of doing this, I realized that there are so many healthy foods that I do like, that I didn't need to eat these foods that I didn't care for, right? I like a lot of healthy foods. I like broccoli. I like Brussels sprouts, asparagus, I prefer chicken thighs over chicken breast because it's more flavorful, it's more tender. And so and why is that that's not bad. It's still a whole food. So when I switched my thinking on this and when I started actually just eating the foods that I liked, uh, it was a game changer. Um, so so I stopped eating these foods and now I only eat foods that I actually look forward to eating. Like, do you guys ever think about, oh, I'm having that for lunch. I love that. I can't wait to eat lunch. Or same thing with dinner. Like, oh, I'm making that tonight for dinner. I am so excited because I love that food. That's how I am now. I mean, most of the time, that's how I am. Unless sometimes we get burnout on things and we're like, okay, we need to switch it up and not make that for a while. We do get burnout on things. At least I do. But I try to really just eat and make the things that I really actually like eating. Um, so so if you do this too, try only eating healthy foods you enjoy. Just hopefully you like enough healthy foods that you can just make those, right? And see if you're more satisfied with your meals. Like, see if, okay, after you make a dinner that you actually enjoy, a healthy dinner that you actually enjoy, see if you're more satisfied than if you're, trying to eat chicken breast and asparagus and you don't even like that stuff, you know? Like, switch it up and see um if you like chicken thighs better, or whatever it is. Just see if that helps you feel more satisfied and makes you not want to like go looking in the cabinets for something else to eat so you feel satisfied. So try that one. Um, and you guys, I would love to know what tip was most helpful for you. I hope these tips helped you. Um, I hope these mistakes helped you. And if you have any additional questions about what I talked about, um, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I love getting DMs. If you have questions, you can also feel free to leave a question in the group. I love that when you guys participate in the group. And then, if you do leave your question in the group, it helps other people too, because I'm sure other people are wondering the same thing you are. So don't be afraid to leave questions in the group. I love answering it that way, and it can help a lot more people when you do it that way. But I also love getting DMs and chatting with you in the DMs about your specific issues and things like that. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions, if you want to know any more information or details about what we talked about. Um, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday. All right, bye.